folks, I'm here at Geneva Motor Show 2024 and I'm going to be showing you all the best from the show today. Keep watching. So one of the big bits of news from the motor show this year is really that how many companies are absent. We've got BYD here, we've got Renault here, we've got MG, Dacia. Aside from that, really not too many familiar car companies, at least. For example, none of the Germans are here, none of the Japanese are here, Stellantis aren't here, which Stellantis could probably fill 2 of these halls just with their brands. And usually this entire building is taken over by the Geneva Motor Show. Today, just 2 halls, and one of those is primarily just classic cars that they've got on display in a gallery kind of format. So much smaller than you would expect the Geneva Motor Show to be. So this is my first time seeing the new Scenic in the flesh. What do we think of this one? Let me know in the comments. A shame for me that it's not an MPV and that there's no 7-seat option. This is the Scenic interior. Here we've got the Renault Rafale or Rafale or Rafale, something along those lines. It's a big sort of hatchback on stilts, crossover SUV kind of thing. It's my first time seeing one of those. Let's have a quick look at the interior. Wow, that's actually really quite an interesting looking interior. As you can see, huge big iPad infotainment system, as is sort of obligatory now. Huge driver information display as well. Cool looking steering wheel. And these seats are absolutely epic. Part leather, part Alcantara by the feel of it, but they do feel amazing. And they're lit. I mean, how many seats do you get with a lit logo? Car of the Year awards going on over here. So we've got things like the BYD Seal, Volvo EX30, we've got the Kia EV9, which I quite fancy for this. 𝘼𝙁𝙁𝙄𝙇𝙄𝑼𝙏𝑀 2008, Renault Scenic, they're all contenders for this. A really interesting thing from these Car of the Year awards is that 7 of the 9 are electric cars. Obviously now, in terms of sort of new developments of cars, the vast majority are EV only, or at least have an EV option, so that shouldn't be a massive surprise, but certainly a sign of things to come. We've got the votes coming in now, sort of Eurovision style. We're starting off with Austria, and we're literally going to go through each country and their votes. BMW has won the votes from Austria, so I don't know if this is at all political, like Eurovision, but this is good fun. This is an interesting thing, a Matra Simca Rancho. I can actually remember these knocking about the roads from my youth. Bonkers things. I don't think there are too many survivors left now, but yeah, very cool thing that's obviously influenced lots of cars, and maybe even the whole SUV trend. Some very cool classics on show here in the Classics Gallery, like this Renault Espace F1. I mean, look at that thing. Whoa! There's some stuff that certainly I've never seen here in the flesh before, and yeah, possibly won't again for a while. Look at this, for example, 6-litre twin turbocharged V12 Pagani Huayra with 730 PS and 1,000 Nm of torque. All carbon fibre. Pretty cool looking seats as well. Unbelievable. Got the Aston Martin Valkyrie, 1159 PS of power, 900 Nm of torque. Oof. Look for that on the next Lease Deals of the Month video. Plenty more hypercars, supercars here. A couple of Senna GTRs. It's rare to see one of those, let alone 2 sitting next to each other. We've got a McLaren P1 GTR over here. And then a LaFerrari. First time I've ever seen one of those in the flesh. Just look at that. Sorry, I'm not saying much here. I don't often get too excited by these kind of cars, but that is a thing. And nestled just behind it, would you expect any less than a Ferrari F40? See, this is why I look like a blob in my videos, and she looks good. She's got someone with a light pole there. That's all I'm missing. And just behind me, folks, is the undoubted star of the 2024 Geneva Motor Show. It's the Renault 5 eTech. Let's have a look at it. And here it is, the production version of the new Renault 5 EV, and a man with a cloth. And this is a very good looking car that's obviously going to be a massive seller for Renault, and may just convert a few petrol heads over to EV. Who knows? And from Renault 5 we go to 𝘼𝙁𝙁𝙄𝙇𝙄𝑗 Automobili for this amazing Martini racing display. Just think, at an event like this, how many people are sharing public Wi-Fi, and just how vulnerable your data and devices could be. Just look at this, I'm in the press room, got all these people, all the world's media, all using their laptops, all on public Wi-Fi. And that's why a tool like Surfshark VPN, and indeed the greater Surfshark One suite, comes in very, very useful. Not only does Surfshark VPN encrypt your online activity, it can also stop annoying ads, and also completely change your IP address to a different country, making it much easier to access some content that you can't get in the UK. Surfshark Antivirus offers real-time protection, as well as detecting and removing malicious viruses and malware. And Surfshark Search gives you a really simple, accurate web browser and search engine with no logs, ads, or any of that other nasty stuff. Surfshark Alert lets you know if your email address has appeared in any online database breaches. It also monitors your credit cards, and it gives you up-to-date information on the status of all your personal information. And Alternate ID does exactly that, protecting your email address and personal details. If you'd like to get 79% off the price of Surfshark One and 2 months completely free, click the link in the video description and pin as a top comment, and we'll make that happen for you. Thanks to Surfshark for sponsoring all the footage from the Geneva Motor Show 2024. Really appreciate it. Dacia are going to be entering the Paris-Dakar from 2025, and this is the Dacia Sandrider, I believe it's called. Very, very cool looking thing, and look at the wheels on it. Obviously this car is all about performance in that Dakar race, but also pretty stylish if you ask me. Now this show's notable for its absences this year, but Dacia notably have got one of the biggest stands here, I would say. Massive presence, lots about the technology. So you've got sample engines, you've got the EV powertrain, and then we've also got a full model sort of working interior, just to show us sort of the new interior of the Dacia in a bit more detail. Infotainment system, everything feels slightly better quality than we're probably traditionally used to from Dacia, but the materials, you have to say, are still about durability and practicality and not luxury, that's for sure. What do we think of the new Dacia logos, by the way? So we get that one on the back of the car now, that one on the front. I think it's a massive improvement. Here is the spring. So first time I've seen one of these in the flesh. I'm going to pop the details on the screen of the different power options and range options. Much more practical than something like a Citroën Ami, and that's certainly the market it's going after, people that want a really small and fairly cheap sort of city car, but are the compromises too much? For me, I think you've got to look at that and the price point of it, and look at what you can get as a second-hand EV. And at that point, does this make sense at 17 grand? If you ask me, would I rather have one of these or a year-old Corsa E for kind of 5 grand less? I'd go for the Corsa E, I have to be honest. But an interesting thing, and good to see manufacturers developing cheaper new EVs. Got the Microlino here, kind of an EV successor to something like the BMW 𝘼𝙁𝙁𝙄𝙇𝙄𝑗. Bubble car, so as you can see, you step in via the front of the vehicle, literally the dashboard lifts away and you climb in here as gracefully as you possibly can. and you've got a little 2-seat city car, probably more a 1.5 seat, to be fair. Good to see a decent presence here from Isuzu, and certainly after the double cab pickup tax debacle and subsequent U-turn we've had in the UK, hopefully we'll continue to see Isuzu vehicles for quite a long time, because they are very rugged, very practical, and if you're after a double cab pickup, you could do a lot worse. We've also got a single cab pickup here with some very, very chunky bedliner. This is an incredibly interesting looking car, folks, the MG9. We've also got the MG S9 EV, the S9 being sort of the crossover version or SUV version, and the 9 being more of a traditional saloon. I have to say, the interior quality is pretty amazing. Very cool design touches throughout. This is a special car. This is obviously trying to frame MG as a much, much more premium brand. We've also, of course, got the Cyberster, which I'm having a look at the interior of that now. Enough has already been said and written about this vehicle, but this looks extremely exciting. Look at those doors. Really difficult to get decent footage of this because it's getting very busy now, and this is sort of a bit of a jewel in the crown for MG at the moment. 0 to 60 in 3.2, over 440 kilometres of range, and what a gorgeous piece of design. Also got the MG7 here, which is another really quite premium looking vehicle, and a really interesting sign of perhaps where MG is heading. These MG cars on this stand today, folks, are unlike anything I've seen from the brand before. Now on the IM stand, they've got a very interesting logo, which is that thing up there. LS6, IM LS6, this one. I don't know too much about this brand at the moment, but what I can tell you, this one, 0 to 60 in 3.48, 560 kilometres of range, which is pretty impressive. Another Chinese brand, as every new car brand seems to be at the moment. This one's the L7, 0 to 60 of 3.87 on that one, 500 kilometres of range estimated. As you can see, they've gone for a yoke rather than a steering wheel. I wonder where they got that idea. And this guy with the flash camera is really starting to annoy me, because everywhere I go, he follows and starts pinging that flash. The screen, as you can see, goes the entire length of the dash, meaning both you and your passenger can have something different going on. We've then got the obligatory iPad in the middle there. Really nice veneer interior. Everything feels very good quality. And just look at this damping on the doors. I like it. Here's the LS7. Very unique roof. Just check that out. Not something you see every day, is it? Let's get a bit closer. So spacious, these things, very luxurious. Clearly going for a premium customer with this. I mean, the seats feel like, I don't know, something from a very high-end Mercedes. And of course, under wraps, we have the new MG3. Unfortunately, folks, I didn't get any usable footage of the MG3, so here are some lovely pictures of it instead. Having previously been a UK exclusive car, the MG3 is now going to be offered across Europe for the first time and will come with the new Hybrid Plus powertrain. Lucid are here with the Air, which is available in, I think, all of Europe, but certainly if not most of Europe. And we've also got the Sapphire. This one's quite special, the Sapphire. It's their Model S Plaid, if you like. 0 to 60 time on this one of 2 seconds. over 700 kilometers of range, and maximum power of 1251 PS, all-wheel drive, gorgeous looking thing. Again, I've seen this before in LA, but here is the Lucid Gravity. It's a decent size SUV. Really hard to get a picture without lots of people in the way. This is really guerrilla footage, folks. I'm really sorry about how naff this is, but it is what it is. Look at the interior there. And you can see a couple of gentlemen sitting drinking coffee in the front, as you do. Just had a chat with the PR guy from Lucid. He's basically said they've got a massive desire to come to the UK. The CEO of Lucid is Welsh, so he's desperate to come to the UK, but they're just trying to expand at a rate of knots that is actually sustainable for them, and I would guess doesn't sort of put them at risk. They're massively impressive cars. When I went over to the LA Auto Show last year, obviously saw the launch of the Gravity there, but you actually see Lucids on the road. It's commonplace. They've just said to me that Germany's obviously a massive market for them, but so is the UK, and it is really important for them to get to the UK at some point. After the Gravity is going to come a smaller SUV, and that might be the natural point at which they come to the UK, because you know the Lucid Air is a huge thing. It's very, very wide. How well that will do in the UK, especially on our roads. You also have to think that Tesla sort of withdrew the Model S from the UK market because I guess it didn't sell enough in recent years, and people favour the smaller cars. So yeah, maybe when that smaller SUV comes out from Lucid, we'll finally get to see them in Blighty. This is a Lamborghini Lambo V12 Vision Gran Turismo. So this is basically a Gran Turismo concept car, and there is the big Gran Turismo stand. And let's have a look at that from the front. Absolutely bonkers. And I don't think you can get those tyres at Quick Fit. I've just checked. As you can see from the design, it's sort of part hypercar, part F1 car. I'll tell you what, I would take this over this year's car of the year, the new Renault Scenic. It'd be a close call. Something very interesting that I've noticed on these car of the year cars, all the nominees are here, as you've already seen in the video, but the one that's actually won car of the year, which is the Renault Scenic, often has nobody in it or looking at it. However, the Kia EV9 over there has constantly got someone in it and someone waiting to go in it, as has the BMW i5 nestled over there in the corner. They seem to be getting far more interest than the actual car of the year. Interesting fun fact. The grandest stand of them all at this year's show is from BYD. Who would have thought that even 5 years ago, really? They've got a two-level stand here at Geneva, and they've got all the vehicles on show. We've got the, unfortunately named for probably the US market, BYD Tang. That's really going to need a rethink. We've got the CLU, which is one of the big talking points of this year's show. A lot of excitement about this car, so I'd be interested to have a drive in one. We've then got the Denza D9 over here, which is a very cool thing. Sort of your luxury executive minibus kind of thing. But the real story, of course, is in the back. Very luxurious. We've got a couple of screens here, huge, big, comfortable seats. You've got another 3 on the back row. I think you can configure this, you can turn the seats round and really make it that big executive taxi kind of thing. Powered door, as you would expect. Thanks to the miracles of editing, the 𝘼𝙁𝙁𝙄𝙁 has now been revealed. the ladies and gentlemen of the Associated World Press are like flies on horse poo with this thing at the moment, so it's really difficult to get any kind of decent footage. I think this is going to be £110,000. Yang Wang is unfortunately known for the US market, but certainly a premium brand of BYD. Very interesting looking interior, spare wheel on the back door as you might expect. Very luxurious interior, really nicely finished actually. Top quality materials as you might expect in a car that's over £100,000 from a brand you're somewhat unfamiliar with. Rear seat entertainment. Some nice little bits of styling here and there. A lot of wood finishes again on interiors. It's a theme at the show this year. Veneer is back. So there we go, the Yang Wang U8. Would you pay 110 grand for one of those? Do you think it looks cheap at the price? This is the 𝘼𝙁𝙁𝙄𝙇𝙄𝑼, which was the other big unveil here. I believe this is their plug-in hybrid version of the 𝘼𝙁. It's just simply too busy to get good footage of this, folks. So as we start to wrap things up, the undisputed star of this show, in my opinion, is that new Renault 5 eTech. A lot of people are upset, or going to be upset, I think, about the fact that it's not a petrol turbo car and the fact it is an EV. Just think yourselves lucky it's not an SUV. I think they've actually retained the essence of the Renault 5 there. They've made it a cool little funky hot hatch. Yes, it's electric, but it is 2024. So I don't think anyone should be too surprised about that. And IM has been the real surprise for me. Just the quality of the interior on those cars, and certainly the styling of those cars, for a brand that I was completely unfamiliar with, is really massively impressive. They seem to be going after the Germans there with that one in quite a big way. Also, some of the other stuff on the MG stand, you know, the MG7 and the MG9, very, very cool cars that I think would do well in the UK if we are to receive them. So I hope you've enjoyed that, folks. Obviously, a lot of the camera footage on this has been pretty naff. As you know, I'm a low-cost operation. I'm a one-man band. It's just me on my own with a little handheld camera, and I'm going around trying to capture all this and give you commentary at the same time. And it's a real bun fight around a lot of these cars a lot of the time. I've stood at a car earlier, at the Renault 5 actually, for a good 25 minutes, just trying to get a couple of clean shots without a gentleman in them of some kind. And it really is a bit of a challenge, so I can only apologise. Perhaps next year when I come back and I've got 8 million subscribers, I'll get one of those little VIP behind the scenes look things, and I won't have the, you know, the ladies and gentlemen of the world's media to contend with when giving you this footage. But I hope you've enjoyed it despite its shortcomings. We have seen the car of the year announced, which is the Renault Scenic, and yeah, really a very good day. Much smaller than it used to be. Certainly this year will be the smallest Geneva Motor Show ever, I would say, easily. They usually have this entire building that we're in, which is huge, and instead they're just using, let's say, 2 halls, but sort of 1.5 really. So it is small. It is notable that the German brands aren't here, the Japanese brands aren't here, Stellantis and all their different brands aren't here, Volvo aren't here, but the people that have turned up in very good form with some very interesting cars. Thanks ever so much for watching. See you on the next one.